August the 7th, 2016. Guys, you're looking at an image of President Obama on Air Force One, or boarding Air Force One, and it's the article saying Obama's 2016 World Tour. Notice the article was written December 29, 2015, in preparation for this World Tour. Now, it's his last year, but what other chief of the world is it his last year? It's Ban Ki-moon, head of the United Nations. His term is up this December. Someone's going to fill that spot. Now, it's not a vote among all the nations on the UN Secretary General, but they have about a 15-person inside committee, super nation committee, and about 10 of those really have the power to vote. But in this article goes back to 2014, and it's important to realize that the New World Order doesn't do knee-jerk reactions. This has been planned for centuries. But it started back the first year. Nobel Peace Prize Committee gave Obama its award on speculation less than 9 months after his inauguration in 2009 to promote multilateral diplomacy, New World Order, and an emphasis on the role of the United Nations and other international institutions can play. Now the UN, acting similarly, can make him president of the world. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's term expires in early 2017. It's actually in December this year, I think. If Obama were his successor, the U.S., even under a Republican administration, might not veto an ex-U.S. president in the Secretary Council. Remember, this is not a multinational vote. Now, Kuwaiti media, this year in 2016, they came out with an article called Obama to Seek UN Secretary Generalship. Now, at the very end of this, I'm going to play a short video of Obama speaking before the United Nations. And things that are happening right now, guys, are leading to a tribulation like you've never seen before. But Al Jazeera, an Arabic language Kuwaiti magazine, published an article on Friday claiming that U.S. President Barack Obama has set his sights on becoming the next Secretary General of the UN when he leaves the Oval Office in 1 year. If true, and if he succeeds in his endeavor, Obama would be replacing the present Secretary General, again Ban Ki-moon, who is serving his second 5-year term in the position. Moon's Secretary General is set in December 31st, 2016. Coincidentally, 21 days before Obama's term runs out. The article also claimed that upon hearing of Obama's plans, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to counter his campaign. They quoted Netanyahu in saying 8 years of Obama's judgments and marginalizing Israel was not enough. Now he wants to be in a position to cause us trouble in the international forum. Now, a couple of things you've noticed about President Trump. He said that we're completely out of balance on who pays what in the United Nations. And just bear with me here, and he's correct. You notice that in this $8.27 billion budget for up to 2015 through June 2016, is 28% is paid by the United States. Japan is second, France is third, Germany is close at fourth, UN right there in that area with China. Then it starts dropping off to where Spain, Canada, and Russia. And it's got to do with populace and per capita income, things like that. But what we've never had a president, or we've never had a U.S. citizen in the Secretary General of the United Nations, not since back in 1945, I think, in that area. But it says at the bottom, although the payment of peacekeeping assessments is mandatory as of June 2015 30th, member states owed approximately $1.6 billion in current and back peacekeeping dues. And that's exactly what Trump said. But it's our taxpayer dollars, so pay attention to that 28%. Now, you're going to think I'm bouncing around, but I'm tying this together. This has been going on also, and it's very important. It's key to it working for the New World Order. It's called the Strong Cities Network, and Loretta Lynch is behind it big time. But these cities, that are called vital partners in international efforts to build social cohesion and resilience to violent extremism. These are not U.S. or Canada cities, although this article was when Montreal, I think, joined. But this is world cities. This is the network, the spider web, the major cities that will turn into the New World Order. But the cities are vital, again, in the international effort to build social cohesion and resilience to violent extremism. What is the violent extremism? It would be revolt against a corrupt government. That's what would end up doing it. It happens time after time through the history of the world. Local communities and authorities are the most credible and persuasive voices to challenge violent extremism in all its forms and manifestations in their local context. Guys, that in all its forms and manifestations is in the Albert Pike letter. While many cities and local authorities are developing innovative responses to address this challenge, no systematic efforts are in place to share experiences, pool resources, and build a community of cities to inspire local action on a global scale, a new world order tied together with the cities. That's why they don't want the wall. That's why they have the mass immigration problems in Europe right now. But it's, again, this extremism in all its forms by fostering, they're going to try to fight it by fostering collaboration among cities, municipalities, and other subnational authorities to counter violent extremism. That's what the whole thing is about. Guys, where's the violent extremism coming from in this country? Lately, it's been from migrants. Think about that. And that's all they're talking about with strong cities, not build jobs, not create opportunities, but to bring down the New World Order. Now, this is Mayor Stan Berger Roslin of Oslo, while commenting on their participation in this Strong Cities network. He says, to counter violent extremism, we need to determine actions at all levels of governance. To succeed, we must coordinate our efforts and cooperate across borders. At that top line, he says we need to determine actions at all levels of government. That means to take control of all levels, from city police to the military. The Strong Cities Network will enable cities across the globe to pool our resources, knowledge, and best practices together, and thus leave us standing stronger in the fight against one of the greatest threats to modern society. To them, to the elite, it is the people that are tired of being lied to and being made slaves to a system. And guys, if they would only realize that it's their fear that would cause them to do this, and by doing this, they create the chaos. The Strong Cities Network will connect cities, city-level practitioners, and the communities they represent through a series of workshops, trainings, and sustained city partnerships. Workshops and training on the New World Order practice, worldwide, one system. Network participants, network, will also contribute to and benefit from an online repository of municipal-level good practices, political correctness, local initiatives and strategies that will contribute to building social cohesion and resilience to violent extremism. Again, that's their only concern with this Strong Cities Network. They really should call the SCN the Secure City Network, guys, because it's going to, again, the tribulation like you've never seen. It says the Strong City Network will include an international steering committee of approximately 25 cities and other subnational entities from different regions that will provide the SCN with its strategic direction. You know who will lead this. And why do you think the Pacific Trade Agreement was meant to do? These 25 cities and the subnational entities around the world, they will convene an international advisory board. So you can basically forget about the governments of the United States or any other government. It will be this one world government. And they're going to, again, come down on your freedoms, your firearms, and anything else. Remember the video last night was just an intro to this series, and talked about that. People that don't go along will be either killed by the other people for being revolutionaries or left to starve. It says this steering committee of 25 cities will again convene the advisory board, which includes representatives from relevant city-focused networks to help ensure SCN builds upon their work. It will be run by the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, or the ISD, a leading international think and do tank, not elected officials, guys. International think and do tank with a long-standing track record of working to prevent violent extremism. Guys, tell me where their work is working, because we're seeing violence across the world now. Now, the CEO of this ISD, Shasha Havlik, again, she will be one of our leaders. She says it provides a unique new opportunity to apply our collective lessons in preventing violent extremism. Man, they're really good at it. What they're really good at is creating violent extremism, because out of chaos they can bring in their order, the New World Order. Now, just in the news here, 3 days ago, Jackson, Mississippi, 4 armories were closed down. Now, we got more armories than that. We got 79 armories left. But what they're doing is closing the rural armories. They're getting them back into the cities. They're cutting the budgets on every state, taking down our military. It started with the purging of the generals a long time ago when Obama came into office, the ones that controlled the nuclear arms. But now, Vice Chairman of the Military Affairs Committee, Ashley Henley, that's a Republican here in Mississippi from DeSoto County, said she had spoken with Collins' office and said it was her understanding the closings were part of a national directive, and the shuttered armories would be given back to the communities. And she mentions the Federal Budget Control Act of 2011. The legislation requires a nationwide drawdown of military forces, guys. Think about that. You've got to tear down this army so the UN's army will work. Pay attention. Now, other articles. Outrageous military vehicles, equipment taken from officers in wake of Obama order. This had to do with Ferguson. Everybody said gun control, gun grab. What happened? Out of this chaos, they created their order. Now Obama is defanging any militia. Do you understand what I'm saying? National Guard, police. Valuable vehicles and equipment are being yanked from law enforcement agencies across the country by the Obama administration in the wake of the president's post-Ferguson order. Now, the sheriffs and lawmakers in this Fox News article are saying the equipment is needed, and losing it would put officers and the communities they serve in danger. These things are useful tools, and the president taking them away will put more officers in jeopardy and at risk of harm or even death. I don't know how he can sleep at night knowing his actions will have those repercussions. And that comes from Alabama Senator Mike Rogers. It was called the Obama Executive Order 13688. Not a voted, these executive orders. 13688. January after the 2014 riots in Ferguson, amid concerns about the militarization of the police fueling a heavy-handed response. Response to what, guys? Unarmed people in the street? No. A United Nations military takeover. And again, you have to have an outsider come into the gates of the fort and disarm it before it can be taken down. The controversy again circled around the 1033 program set up by the Defense Department back in '97, and that's when the Pentagon started sending the excess military equipment to armor-track vehicles, camouflage uniforms, weapons to local law enforcement agencies for no cost. And it was considered, and more than likely, a part of the militarization of the police. But that is being taken away very quickly because they're realizing not everyone will go along with their plans. Obama set up a working group to provide recommendations on changes. The group, headed by the officials of the Defense Department, Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Justice, who was Loretta Lynch, they drew up a list of items that would either be controlled or prohibited entirely from being acquired via the 1033 program. We've seen how militarized gear can sometimes give people a feeling like there's an occupying force, as opposed to a force that's part of the community, that's protecting them and serving them. Guys, order out of chaos. Who created that event in Ferguson? Think about that. A recall on items on the prohibited list that had been handed out via the 1033 program went into effect on October 1st, and the law enforcement agencies had until this past April 2016 to return them. And that's from a spokeswoman for the Pentagon Defense Logistics Agency. Sheriffs using the program are outraged, saying the main focus of the initial backlash, the armored track vehicles, are purely defensive vehicles that save lives in crisis situation and double as rescue vehicles in areas with rough terrain. Now, guys, this is Obama at the United Nations. Listen to what he has to say. Pay attention. He has a plan.
We're grateful to the United Nations for its efforts to forge a unity government. We will help any legitimate Libyan government as it works to bring the country together. But we also have to recognize that we must work more effectively in the future as an international community to build capacity for states that are in distress before they collapse. And that's why we should celebrate the fact that later today, the United States will join with more than 50 countries to enlist new capabilities: infantry, intelligence, helicopters, hospitals, and tens of thousands of troops to strengthen United Nations peacekeeping. And that's why we should celebrate the fact that later today, the United States will join with more than 50 countries to enlist new capabilities: infantry, intelligence, helicopters, hospitals, and tens of thousands of troops to strengthen United Nations peacekeeping.